Calcers. So I am going to go through this mini quiz from 427. We've got a graph given to us of f prime, and it already gives us, it indicates what the areas are of the following regions, so we don't have to do any calculating using formulas from geometry. The one thing that I would note is that this area down here of 7, me personally, what I would do is I just kind of note to myself that that's below the x-axis, so that's going to be a negative area. All right, and then it goes from a closed interval from 0 to 7. We've got f of 4 is equal to 10. That is my initial value. Okay, so we're going to need that if it asks us for any f of x other than 4. All right, so first one, also they're giving us a function of g that is equal to 5 minus x squared. All right, so anything pertaining to f is the graph. Anything pertaining to g is that equation. So we want to find the value of the integral from 0 to 7 of f prime of x dx. That's the area under the curve from 0 to 7. So it's going to equal 2 plus a negative 7 because it's below the x-axis plus 3 plus 1. That equals negative 1. Final answer. All right, not too bad. All right, so given that we have that initial value of f of 4 equals 10, write an expression for f of x. So that's where I need to take into account that initial value. All right, so first thing, I'm going to write that up here. So f of x is going to equal, now I have to take into account my initial value of 10 plus the integral of f prime. And then I want to start my integral at the x value that I'm given, so 4, to whatever x value I'm evaluating it. And now because there's an x up in the integral symbol, I'm going to just change the variable to dt. And that is how we would evaluate any value of x, no matter what value we are looking for. Okay, so that is my equation for f of x. And now we want to use that expression to find the absolute minimum and absolute maximum. So I should be checking what, Calcers? You better all be saying this right now. CPs and EPs. All right, so we're checking critical points and endpoints. So my endpoints are 0 and 7. So I should be checking my EPs. So I want what's f of 0 and f of 7. And then my CPs, I want f of critical points are where the derivative equals 0, where here's my graph of the derivative. So I've got 1, 4, and 6. 7, I'm not going to circle because that's an endpoint. Now, from 1, it goes from a positive to a negative. So I would say that that is a relative maximum. At 4, it goes from a negative to a positive, and I'm talking about it being f prime. So that would be a relative minimum. And now for 6, it doesn't change signs f prime. So I'm not even going to worry about 6 as a possible maximum, absolute maximum or absolute minimum, because that would be neither a maximum nor a minimum. So I'm not even going to worry about that for calculating. So the only two I need to check are f of 1 and f of 4 for my critical points, because those might give me my absolute max or my absolute min. And because it asks for both, I'm going to list both of them. If it only asks for my absolute minimum, then I would only list f of 4. All right, so f of 4 was given. That was 10. Okay, so that's nice and easy. All right, now f of we'll start out with the critical point, f of 1. So if I wanted f of 1, I'm going to just change my color of my pen. So if I wanted f of 1, I would do 10 plus the integral from 4 to 1 of f of t dt. Sorry, f prime of t dt. So that would equal 10 plus, I start at 4 and I go to 1. Whoop. That's going backwards. So instead of an area being -7, it would be +7. So f of 1 is going to equal 17. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just erase the 1s. And I'm going to put in what my next value is, which I'll do f of 7. So 7. So we're going to do the integral from, so 10 plus the integral from 4 to 7. So from 4 to 7 is 3 plus 1. So that would be 10 plus 4. So 7, f of 7 is going to be 14. All right, and then f of 0. So I'm going to just erase all the 7s. And I'm going to fill in 0 there. All right, so the integral from 4 to 0, that would be going from 4 to 0, so that would be switching the area of -7 and making it positive because we're traveling backwards, plus, and then switching that value of +2 to -2 because we're traveling backwards. So 17 and the -2 is going to be 15. So f of 0 is 15. All right, so we want my absolute min and my absolute max. So remember, when we're asking about absolute mins and absolute maxes, we're asking about the y value. So my absolute min, when I look, it's 10. That is the smallest y value. And then my absolute max is going to be 17. That is my biggest x value. That is my biggest y value. All right, and that is it for that one. So justify your answers. The absolute min, the absolute max is this. I check my CPs and EPs. That is how we are justifying. We check those. All right, so for C, going to change my pen color again. All right, so we've got find the integral of g of x, which is 5 minus x squared dx. Oh, that's not a problem. Take the antideriv. Antideriv of 5 is 5x minus antideriv of x squared is add 1 to the exponent, divide by the new exponent. Now, if there are no bounds, don't forget, plus c. And that's it. Done on that one. All right. Ooh, this is a tricky one. All right. So let's fill in, first of all, what g of x is. So we've got the integral from 1 to 2 of x f prime of g of x, which is 5 minus x squared dx. All right, so I'm looking at this and I have like a function inside of a function. If it were derivatives, it would be the chain rule, but because it's the antideriv, the integral, we need to do u substitution. So I'm going to do a different color to note that it's u. So my u is equal to the inside 5 minus x squared. And then we do du dx is going to equal -2x. I multiply by dx, so du equals -2x dx. All right, so if I were filling that in, I need to f prime of u, but then I have dx and x, so I'm going to divide by -2, so I get the x and the dx by itself, so -1/2 du equals x dx. All right, so it's going to be -1/2 du. Oops, that's looking a little bit like an x. And then we do the integral symbol, but I can't use 1 and 2 because 1 and 2 are x values, and now we're on to u's. So I plug in those values over here into my u to figure out what my new bounds are. So 5 minus 1 squared is going to be a lower bound of 4. And then 5 minus 2 squared is going to be an upper bound of 1. So it equals antiderivative of f prime is f of u. And we have the negative 1/2 as a constant out in front. And then we evaluate that from 4 to 1. Just be careful with that upper bound. So it's going to be negative 1/2 f of 1 minus negative 1/2 f of 4. Minus a negative plus positive. All right, so f of 1. Oh, we actually have them up here that we already solved. So negative 1/2 times 17 plus 1/2 times f of 4, which is 10. So we've got negative 17 over 2 plus 10 over 2. Final solution for this is negative 7 over 2. Okay, and that's it for this one.